One is a Luo phrase called chaka chaka, meaning chak a chaka, meaning just start. I got a small house near the Arboretum. My friends called it shoebox. It measured 3 meters by 4 meters. I got invited to perform at different meetings. I got to perform at an organization called White Ribbon Alliance by a lady called Angela Nguku, and they all made sure they paid me.
We've been using this word Gilipe, which really in English is pay yourself first. Yeah. And many people don't understand what that means. A lot of people think pay yourself first means kupigia mwili pole. Right? Go to the spa, go and get a nice, you normally get haircuts, maybe 200 bob, 150, now you go buy get for 1,000, you know?
Buy a perfume.
Go buy a perfume, but it's not kupigia mwili pole. Jilipe, pay yourself first is when you get money, you pay. Then now, the other lesson from what you've shared so far is very key principles. The first one, productivity.
Yes.
Whatever your hands find to do, do it. You sold mandazi.
Yeah. I became a photographer.
Became a hawker.
Yeah.
You became a photographer. You washed toilets and windows.
Yeah.
Whatever your hand, productivity.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a very because you can't invest without an active income.
Exactly.
Some money coming from somewhere.
And aside from that, Rina, you don't have to earn a lot to invest.
No.
I was earning 3,000 shillings for a poem. Anytime I was paid 1,000 shillings, I would keep aside 300 shillings.
But why 300, you know?
I think this will surprise you. By the time I was done with campus, my younger brother, Ronnie, had finished campus, had finished university, high school as well. And he was called to study pharmacy at the KMTC because he really wanted to study medicine. And so the grades he got, while he could have joined university, he couldn't join medical college. So he joined Kenya Medical Training College and started studying pharmacy. But he always had this vision of wanting to go to the US and study medicine there, even as he was studying pharmacy. And incidentally, my investment in the stock market rubbed on him. So at about that time, one of the companies, Kengen, also had an IPO. And so my brother had also saved some money. And
IPO is initial public offer.
Initial public offer.
The first time a company offers its shares.
Yes. So Kengen gave out its shares or listed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and my brother bought shares from that company. But I noticed something with him. He was the first person to teach me the Gilipe concept. Whenever you gave him money, he would save a percentage, whether 10% or 20%, but he had this standard of 30%. So whenever you gave him money, he would save 30% and either go buy shares as well, wherever he was, and so on. So I got attracted to this concept of him as well. He insists he learned it from me, but just seeing him, this little boy who had just joined high school the other day, was saving, really blessed my heart. But remember, he had wanted to go to the US, and he got admissions in different universities, but they needed a bank statement. So we never had that bank statement. One of those times I gave my bank statement, which had 600 shillings. He went with it to the embassy. It was rejected. We asked someone for a bank statement. He gave us a bank statement, which had 400,000 shillings. It was rejected. Then we heard that bank statements were being sold. And somebody suggested to him. But Ronnie looked at me and said, no, we are not going to buy a bank statement. One, because we can't afford it. And two, our mother would turn on her grave. And so he continued working. But then there is one point, the US government usually has this green card DV lottery. Used to.
Now I think it's gold.
I tell you. So we were broke. and we needed to apply for green card for him. And we were broke because the money I had was in the stock market, and I only had about 10 shillings with me.
Yeah.
And so we needed to apply because to Gilipe, the money is locked in the market. And so we went to one of the cybers, which was charging 1 shilling then. So we only had
1 shilling a minute.
A minute. So we only had 10 minutes to complete everything. Oh my God, I typed. We had probably 150 shillings. We took the passport photo. They gave us the digital version. So we only had 10 minutes. I typed his name, Ronnie. So we only did his application and sent. So when we sent, we were happy. We had used 7 minutes. And the minimum charge, of course, at the cyber was 10 shillings. So they didn't give us change. Oh, how sad. Our 3 shillings went. But we were happy.
Yeah.
And while it's the story about his green card is longer, at some point we learned that he had gotten the green card 2 years later.
Wow.
And so we were excited. He was
started? He was still at KMTC?
He was at KMTC. And he was committed to leaving to go study medicine. And so we needed to raise an air ticket. We needed to do medical tests and so on. But I was also working. So I remember that is the one time that I did not put money in the stock market for about 2 months because we needed to raise his air ticket and all these things. But Ronnie did something remarkable. He sold the shares that he had bought at the IPO, and by then they were probably 3 to 4 times more. So he got 35,000 shillings from about 9,000 shillings. And that was also my story because he had seen me do it, and so he was able to pay part of his ticket, air ticket, to the US. But when Ronnie left, he told me he didn't have much, but he wanted to give me a book. And he looked at me and told me, I can't give you anything except this. It was a book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah.
Very good book.
I get emotional when I say that because he didn't have anything. So I read the book, and it was an eye-opener on nuggets towards investment. I was already somehow practicing a lot of those, but the book taught me that talk to those who have been there before, among others. So I could consistently come to Rina's door to say, hey, I have these, what can we do? Again, you never pointed to which shares. You never, at that time, openly preferred any company over the other. But it was always encouraging. You know, I would come to you, share my growth, and before you got very busy, share my growth journey and so on. But I read on that book certain wisdom that helped me save. They always said, save. The book, the author says, save a portion of your income. So going by what Ronnie had done and what I had done, I kept saving minimum 30% for me. Because the word out there is save 10%.
Yeah.
So
even
for
the book
me,
says 10.
Yeah. So yes. So for me, I would be like, if I'm earning 60,000, what of the person earning 20,000? They still live in Nairobi. So I could save 50%. So to this day, Rina, I save 50% of my income. When I'm paid, whatever, I'm now in hundreds of thousands, and I say this respectfully, I save at least 50% of my income. When things are bad, it can go to 30% and so on.
When things are bad.
Yeah, yeah. But I still save.
When things are bad, 30%.
Yeah. But I still save. I saved when I was earning 19,000 shillings.
Yeah.
I saved when I was earning 60,000 shillings. But I also feared debt a lot.
Wait, but okay, so you remember I started with principles.
Yes.
The first one we said was productivity.
Yes.
The second one is retention.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
That thing of staying with some, irrespective of whether you're earning 3,000, 30 or 300.
Or 1 million.
Whatever.
Stay, yeah.
It's a principle. So it's not about the amount.
I agree.
It's not just about the amount.
Yeah.
Now, the third thing, and I want us to slide there, is multiplication.
Wow.
Because not only are you retaining, because the retaining is really the saving. Because you can't just save and put in a bank account.
Exactly.
The third thing you did is invest it. You invested in the stock market. I remember 9 years after I met you that first day, I looked at some request for RTGS payments that was done. And there was this big one of 2.835 million. Written Larry Liza. I said, as in? When did we get here? Me, I've been seeing 20,000, 5,000. When did we get to 2 point? Do you remember I called you?
Yeah, I know, you called.
I said, Larry.
What is this I'm seeing? Is this you? And I told you, yes, Rina, it is me. And he said, we need to have coffee.
Exactly.
I can't believe this.
And you are buying an office.
Yes, so at that time, this is yet another story. But remember, any time my salary increased, because while at KRA, I continued working hard and we consistently got promoted or salary increase. So any time my salary went up, I would say to myself, last financial year, I survived with this amount. And now there's 30,000, you know. If we hadn't gotten this increase, would I have died? Or what would have happened? I would have still survived. So I took all that increase. By that time, I had cleared my HELB loan because I was mentioning that I fear debts. So at some point, we were given a salary raise and it was backdated and I cleared. And the rest of the money, I still took it to the stock market. So at some point...
Wait, when did you move from the shoebox? Akimejinyima is what I'm hearing people say. Umejinyima.
I lived in the shoebox probably for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, for 10 years.
Wait, so were you 20 or what, 21 when you moved
I
into
lived
the shoebox?
I was 24.
You were when you graduated, so you were 24?
I lived in the shoebox up to about 32 years.
Way.
Yeah.
Like for real?
Yeah.
How much were you earning?
By that time?
When
I left the shoebox, I was probably earning 80-something thousand.
And you're paying 5,000 rent?
Yeah, by then the rent had gone up. It was probably about 10,000, which was too much for me.
Oh my.
Yeah. So I left shoebox and went to another estate and got this 1-bedroom house.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe the rent was about 18,000 at that time. And my friends were living large. My friends had cars. I had been promoted, but I would still walk. I would just say, everywhere you go, walk, just like Jesus. Yeah. So I would walk to work. Occasionally, at some point, I worked a little bit out of town. And I would still save. So at one point, I was actually in shoebox when I had some earth movers in the morning. I told you shoebox was, I'm happy to share this story for the sake of someone like me. Shoebox wasn't very far from, shoebox was near Arboretum. So I had some earth movers in the morning. And when I was going to work, there was a media school that was next to shoebox called Andrew Crawford Media School. And the building was down. And there was a banner up there that Crawford Business Park is coming up. And there was a project. And if you are interested, call this number. So I felt in my heart that, ooh, there are office spaces to let, you know. And so I went to work. And every time I passed there, I could just see Crawford Business Park beckoning, you know, come, come. So one day I saw the foundation was up and I said, oops, I may be late. So I went and asked. I always felt in my heart, I always felt this intuition that there was a possibility of getting a space at Crawford Business Park. And so one day I walked there and I found the lady who was in charge of the sales. And I asked her, are there offices? She said, yeah. How much? She said, 18 million to 24 million. And I couldn't afford it. Then I asked her, aren't there smaller offices? Then she said no. Then I said, no, there are smaller offices. Then she asked, what makes you think there are smaller offices? Then I said, I feel it in my spirit. Then she said, the truth is, there are smaller offices. Every floor has an office at the corner that is going for 6 million.
Okay.
But they have all been taken. Then I said, no, they've not all been taken. Then she said, they have all been taken. And she had a list. She told me all the 4 floors, the offices have been taken. However, and aside from that, I have this list of 6 people who, should any of these not be paid,
there's others who can.
There are 6 others, so you are number 7. So I said, okay, number 7 is good. There is an office. My office is there. Hiyo ya 6 million ni yangu, one of them. Then she said, what makes you so sure? You know, then I said, I feel it. I think I said, God told me so. And she laughed. And guess what, Rina? At about that time, this lady receives a call.
When you were there?
Yes. This lady receives a call. And the person she talks, and then she shakes her head and she says, for me, you are right. This is your office space. Then she said the person who called was one of those who had booked one of the offices, actually 2 offices. He's letting go of one. So I'm going to send a message to all these people, including you. We need a deposit of 2 million.
Just pause there. I need to just drink some water and take a pause. We will be right back.